And you need double math.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Rabbi, and a happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Yeah, we're a little behind. So today, Daf Chavches Amud Beis. Today's Chavtes. We left off in Chavches Amud Beis. I will go in Rabbi, what's his name mode? Rabbi Resnick mode.
Yes.
So, all right.
2x.
Good morning. Today's year is the response. No, one line above. Oh, so Ein Niyasim Behen. So it's I don't know, 15, 17 lines to the top. There's a 2 dots there. So we mentioned that one goes into a kavches on the base. A base connect says one should not go into kos rosh, eat, drink. And then the next item which was the top line of the first words of our Gemara on the page, was Rein Yusun, which is to put makeup on, right? So Amar Rav Chachamim v'Talmidei Mutarim. However, Chachamim and Talmidei, the Chachamim and their students are mutar to go ahead. Levi my Bei Rabbanon. Why is it called Bei Rabbanon? Beis at the Rabbanon is basically their house. So since they're able to go and be miskashet in their house, they can do items that one normally does in their house. They can do in the base matters. It's not a zilz of the base matters. They can't go inside a base knesses to avoid the heat or to avoid the rain. And one time, Ravina Bar Masna, they went ahead to ask a question to Rava. So a big rain was coming, and it started to rain hard, and they went inside the base Knesset. They said, "Hi, Alina lebe Kanishta." That which we went to the base of the Knesset, La Mishum Mitra. We didn't do it to avoid the rain. We're not using it for that. El Mishum the Shmaitza, but Tzilusa Kiyayma the Astana. Right? We need to think clearly. It has to be like a day of a north wind, which is a nice, pleasant day. We need nice, pleasant weather to think. We can't be outside standing the rain. To learn this, we have to be inside to learn it. So therefore, we basically weren't using the base Knesset to avoid the rain. And Amar le Rav Acha bar Rav Ashi eats tzarich le'inish le'mikra gavra mebei kanishta mai. So he said earlier, a person should go ahead and take shortcuts or use it to base medrash. So what do you have to go ahead and call somebody inside the base medrash? I knew you got a phone call on the payphone in the hallway. What do you say? So mai Amar le eats Rabbanan. If he's a Talmud Chacham, let me help us. So you can say go inside, say halach in the base Knesset, and then go tell the person you have a phone call. And if he's just able to learn Mishnah, you should say a Mishnah. If he knows how to learn a pasuk, learn a pasuk, you should say a pasuk. If he low and he can't do any of these, you should go ahead and find a child. Tell me what pasuk you're learning, and therefore basically he'll be learning inside the base medrash, and he's not using it just to go ahead and get somebody and get him out. Or go ahead and sit around a little, stay in there, and then go ahead and come out, so it doesn't look like you're using it as a, to go in to go out. And we also can use a base hakanases, right, for a hesped of the rabbin. So hey, hesped of the rabbin. What does it mean a hesped of the rabbin? So machar Rav Chisa could go and hesped of the kai bei Rav Sheshes, like any hesped of Rav Sheshes would be present at, because Rav Sheshes would go over there, he would speak. And people will go ahead and want to hear him speak. And Machmer Sheshes, and Rav Sheshes says, no, what are you talking about? Not me. Not me. But something like Rav Chisa would speak. Rav Chisa's presence will be there, then people will show up. And Rafam, Aspedei the Kalos, said the Kanishta, Rafram, he went there to make a hesped for his daughter-in-law in the basic Knesses, and eyes has to be for a rabbin. So Amram Mishum Yikar the Udemesa, Asukuliyama, because of the covet of me, right? I'll just cover with the drink to spill, right? So because of the covenant of me, I'm speaking, and also the covenant of the mace. I guess she was, well known in the community. Then also that everybody would go ahead and attend. Reb Zera Safti Vahugam Mirabbanim B'Vei Knishta. One time Reb Zera, he's made a hesped of a person Rabbanim of the B'Vei Knishta. Amar Imishu Yikar Didi Imishu Yikar Didei. The Mesa Asukuliyama. Whether it's because of me who's being maspid or because it's Chashat Hamar Chacham, right, who died, everyone's going to come. But therefore, it's permitted to go ahead and do it in the basic Knesset. And Reish Lakish, Safti Lahu Tzurbrod Mirabbanan Sheikh Bar Disrael. Reish Lakish, he made a hesped. Reish Lakish was from Bavel. He made a hesped of a certain Talmid Chacham who used to frequent Eretz Yisrael. The Havitani Hilchas of Chavdal Shiraz used to go ahead and teach by 24 rows of students. Amar Vay Chasra Ar Disrael, right? What was it there to Yisrael? Because they lost a great man, and Gavarabba. They lost a great man. That was his hesped. So he gave a hesped. He was very hurt by the fact that this Talmid Chacham died. And similarly, or in contrast, how the Havitani Hilchas Sifra, the Sifri, the Tosefta. There was a certain, also another Talmid Chacham who learned halachas, who learned Sifri, Bryson's is Toseftas. The Shachi, when he died, also remember Rav Nachman. He came to Rav Nachman, who was from Eretz, at least B'dei Mar, knew say a haspid about him. Some are hekin aspidei. Haitzana demile sifrei. The chaser. What haspid should I make? They were missing a basket of books. In other words, he basically said, even though he learned all these items, he learned all these things, he didn't really know it. He learned it, but he didn't really know it. So it wasn't like, you want me to go up there and say this as his haspid? So I'm not going to be haspid. So my answer, Tochazi Mabin to keep it Shell, the Chassidid of Bavel, right? See the difference between those of Bavel who were humble like Rav Sheshet, or like Reish Lakish, right? Not even humble, but those are like Reish Lakish who were anivim, right? The way he would speak about those were laws versus those of Eretz Yisrael like Rav Nachman, who was more sharp. Tanan Hasmi over there was Shamish B'Tag Chalof. He who goes ahead and uses the crown of Torah, right? He'll be cut off. Right? And kisa shel Torah. Right? In other words, as someone who uses somebody or uses the position of Torah, like someone who learns halachas, that's using the keser, the crown of Torah. Right? One can go ahead and use somebody, have him serve, right? Somebody who's learned basically the 4 Siddharim, those are the ones with basically who've learned Bavli, right? But however, but not to go ahead and have use for you somebody who has taught, right? The 4 for the Siddharim. And Kihad, the Reish Lakish, like some case of Reish Lakish, he was traveling Mata or Kamod the Maya, he came before water. Also, Gavra, Arkivat Kasi, the other person thought they didn't want Reish Lakish to walk in the water. So he put him on his shoulders. The Kamavili was crossing him over this little channel of water. Samarle, Karisa. So as he's being carried by this gentleman underneath him, so he's talking to the guy underneath him. Samarle, he says, have you ever learned anything? He was worried that he was using somebody who was a Talmud Chacham. So he says, Karisa, have you ever learned? So I'm really Karina. This how John Doe was carrying Reish Lakish. Right. A tour guide, right? So he asked the guy carrying him, the John Doe, right? The Ploni Almoni, he says, have you ever learned? So he says, Karina, yeah, I've learned Tanisa, right? Bryce, Learn says, Tanina, Arba Sidrei Mishnah. Yeah, I learned all 4 Sidrei Mishnah, right? And the Ziki, Nashin, right? Kachim. I learned all of them. So I'm like, right, you learned, you've gone through 4 Siddharim, and you carry the son of Lakish on your shoulders. Shadi bar kalakisha b'mai. Go throw the son of Lakish. Go basically throw me in the water. Get me off your shoulders. Right? It's I don't want to use Torah. You're Torah. You learn Torah. I don't want to use you. So I'm really nichli. Nichli. No, he says not. But I prefer to do this way. The Shriyan Lamar. So I want to go. So if that's the case, listen, Ihachi, Gomer Minai. She says it would be preference for me to carry you and to listen to you. So he says, okay, if that's the case, learn from me. And I was basically become my student. Right? If you become my student, then it's not so bad for you to be carrying me. So Ihachi Gomer Minai. I most learned for this. Damar Rabbi Zera B'nai Yisrael Hein. That the B'nai Yisrael, they were machmer themselves that even if they saw one spot of blood the size of a mustard seed, then they would sit for 7 days. They would be tummy. And Tan is the menstrual blood. So Tan is that's what he taught the guy. Yes. So Tan is debate. That's what he taught the guy. Reish Lakish, yes. So Tan is debate. So anybody who learns halachas, right, he will be muftachlo, right? There will be rest assured that he will be a member of the world to come. Shinar says, "Halichos are the ways are his. Ati halichos el halachos." But rather, the halachos, not which one? The tipa of dam. Why dafka that one? Don't know. Good question. Fine. All right, very good. Turn it about it now. Today's daf. Mevatlin. So mevatlin Talmud Torah lohitzas hameis achnasas hakal. So we're mevatel Talmud Torah, the learning of Torah, in order to go ahead and lohitzas hameis to go and accompany right a mace to his final resting place, or achnasas kala, or to be mesameach achasin and kala. In Amr Laval Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Loi Shayim Mevatel Talmud Torah lohitzas hameis achnasas kala. He said Rabbi Loi, he used to actually do this. He used to be mevatel Torah. You close up the Gemara and you go to be hotzas hameis achnasas kala. But Medzar Murim, what we're talking about, Sham called Tzarcha. We're only talking about when there's not enough people present at the Levaya. But if there are enough people to aim about, then you don't need to go out. The Kama called circles. So how much is called circles? A couple of different opinions. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Ina Bishmei Drav. Tracer Alfe Gabre Vishisa Alfe Shipure. 12,000 people, right? And 6,000 people with shofars. And some say Tracer Alfe Gabre Uminayu Shisa Alfe Shipure. And some say no, 12,000 of this 12,000, right? And not an additional 6,000 shofars. Only of those 12,000, half of them, 6,000 of them with shofars. So you need 12,000 people. And Ula Omar Kigoin the Chaitzi. Why Bedavka 12? Why Bedavka 12,000?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But he says, so the Gemara says now, so Ula says Kigoin the Chaitzi Gabi Ma'abuba Ad Sichra, right? In other words, basically there's enough people, right, from the town entrance until the base of the Kvaris. They frequently used to go ahead and have, they would have the base of Kvaris right outside the town. So if there was enough people, basically that it was stretched from the edge of town till the base of Kvaris, that is enough. Then there is no need to be Vivato Talmud Torah. Rav Sheshes Omar, no, he would be Mevatel his Torah to go ahead and to participate on Tzasa Meis, yes. And Hachnas Kal. And Rav Sheshes Omar, Kenisinasa, Kach Natilasa. Manasinasa b'shishim ribo, just like the giving of the Torah was 600,000, after Tilasa b'shishim ribo, so too 600,000 is taking. In other words, the taking, then basically those should go. And Hani Miliman Dekari Vitani. That's only somebody who learned, right? Who learned, right? Psukim and Mishnayos and Gemara. Valaman, and that's when you need 600,000. So someone who learned, right, was a learned person. Such a person requires 600,000. If there's not 600,000, then you should attend. However, aval laman demasni, but one who teaches less than shira, then you got 600,000. I excuse you still got to go. You got to be $1 million, right? Doesn't make a difference. And Tana Shimon Yochayomer Borei Kama Chavivni Yisrael L'Pnei Kodesh Baruch Hu. See how dear and precious Klal Yisrael Kodesh Baruch Hu. Shebechol Makom Shegalu Shchina Imad. And anytime they were sent, they were exiled. The Shechina went with them. Go to Mitzrayim, Shechina. When they went to Mitzrayim, the Shechina was with them. Shechina says, "Hanigla niglesi lebeis avecha v'yosem Mitzrayim." He says, right, I reveal myself right over there in your father's house in Mitzrayim. So Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the Shechina was in Mitzrayim, and go to Bavel, Shechina imam. When he went to Bavel, the Shechina was with the Shechina. The says, "Laman chem shalachti Bavel." So he says over there, for you, I was sent to Bavel. Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the Shechina went to Bavel. Even in the future, when they go, the Shechina will be with him. Shechina says, "V'shav Hashem lokecha." So it says V'shav Hashem. It says V'heishivlo. Now it doesn't mean I will bring you back. V'heishivlo. Now El V'shav, right? V'shav. No, Hashem, the Shechina will return. Malamich Hakadosh Baruch Hu shav imayim mibein hagalus. Fine. Now the Bavel Heichi. So we said that Hakadosh the Shechina was in Bavel. So where was it? Heichi. So Amrabai B'nei Knisha the Hutzal U'Bnei Knisha the Shaf the Yosef ben Hardia. Right in the base of Hutzal and the base of Knesset. That the Shaf Yosef, there was one that was built and rebuilt. I guess it was moved around, right? So that those two Bati Knisios, that's where the Shechina was. Don't say it was in both of them. Rather, sometimes in one, sometimes in the other. And Amar Abai Tisali, right? I should go ahead and be rewarded. When I would be within a parsa of one of these, I would go ahead and daven in one of these Bati Knisios. And Avad Shmuel. And the father of Shmuel, the Levi, Havi Yasi, B'Kanishta, the Shafi Yosef of Nahardia. One time they were sitting in the basic Knesset of the Shafi Yosef of Nahardia, Sherbei Knesset there, that was the one we mentioned earlier where the Shechina was. And Asya Shechina, and basically they thought they heard the Shechina, Shamu Kol, Riksha, and Kamu V'Nafku. So they heard the sounds there, it was, the haunted house, so they didn't know what was going on, so it must be the Shechina, and they got up and they left. Out cup. And Rav Sheshes Havi Yosef Bekanishta, the Shafi Yosef ben Hardia. One time, another time, Rav Sheshes was in the exact same Bekanishta. And Shafi Yosef ben Hardia in Asya Shechina of Leinafak. He didn't leave. He heard the sound. He didn't leave. Also, Melchei Sharis V'Kabitulei. Called Melchei Sharis. Basically, the ministering angels came. They tried to force him out. So I'm the fun of Ribayna Shayla. He said, "Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Oluv V'Sheina Oluv Mi Nitchem Mi Pnei Mi." A fortunate one versus unfortunate. And Rav Sheshes was blind, so he was unfortunate. So unfortunate versus fortunate. Who's pushed up from who? Samalu Shafkua, right? In other words, basically they should, they should feel bad for me. I should be able to stay, and therefore the Melchei Sharis were basically told, leave him alone, let him stay in the basic Knesset. Shafku. And then says, I will be for them a mitashmat. I'm Rabbi Yitzchak, Elu Bate Knesset, Bate Midrash, Shem Bavel. These are basic measures in Bavel. That those were a mitashmat, those were a small mikdash when we're in Bavel. This is referring to the house of Rabbeinu, of Rav, right? Sheba Bavel. In Bavel, that was mitashmat. And Dorosh Rava might Hashem Ayin Ata Yisa Lanu. So it says over there, Hashem will basically be in a boat for us. So these are basic midrash that He will be their presence. And Rabbi, in the beginning, you have a Garsina the Beisa, Matzina Beikanisha. In the beginning, I used to go ahead and I would learn at home and daven and shul. However, came the Shmuel the Kamar David. That I heard David said Hashem Hafti Mount to Beisacha, right? That Hashem loves, right? The in the house, right? Being that Hashem is the abode in the shul, right? That's their house. So Havi Garsina Veikanishta. Then I would also not only daven in shul, I would also learn in shul. And Tanner Rabbi Yazai Kavar Aimer Asina Beit Knesset Beit Midrash Bavel Shikul Beretz. So they will go ahead and they will miraculously go ahead and they will travel. The Beit Midrash and Beit Knesios will travel to Eretz Yisrael. Shnamar, as the pasuk says, Ki Ketavor Baharim Carmel Biyom Yavo. It says like the mountains of Tavor and Carmel and the sea they will come. And in other words, during the time of Mount Torah, they traveled to Har Sinai. They only came during the time of Mount Torah, Carmel. They traveled across the sea during the time of Mount Torah, and nevertheless, so they were afterwards. They were Kaveh Beretz Yisrael. So Bate Knesset, Bate Midrash, Shekarim Marvitza Ben Torah Achas Kam V'Kama. So certainly, Bate Knesset, Bate Midrashos, right, that are not just one time Torah, but always the Marbitz they spread the Torah. Certainly, they will accompany and they will settle in Eretz Yisrael. And Darash. Bar Kapara, my disciples was mean Laman, Tarsidon, Horim, Give Noinim. So the passages were Lama Tarsidon was the Lashon Tarsidon. So Yasa Baska Brahma Lama Tarsudin, right? That was the other mountains had a grievance against Har Sinai. Why are you guys Tarsudin in Sinai? Right? Why are you guys taking Har Sinai and taking them to Din? Right? You shouldn't have given the Torah by you, it should have been by us. You guys, all your mountains are Bali Muminatam, Sinai, next to compared to Sinai. Ksiv Hachat says over here, Giv Nainim. Says there, the pasuk over Giv Nainim. Ksiv Hachat says over there, Given Odak, right? So talk about there about different mumim, about the lips or the eyelashes. So it says that's too big of the eyelash, right? That is a mum. And I'm Ravashi, Shmaimina, Haiman to Yoyer Bal Mumu. So you see over here that what was their mum of these mountains? It was their Bal Gaiba. So you see Bali Gaiba. Givnonim is a moon, so therefore basically it was like a moon that they had. And who Oisin also Ein Oisin also Kabadarius. We said up there also that one cannot go ahead and make a shortcut through a basic Knesset. So my Kabadaria, Samarava Kabadarius Kishma, right? It's I forgot the English word for it, right? The name of the word comes from its meaning. My Kishma, what does it mean? It's like its name. Command Omar Ad Mekifna Adri, right? Mekifna is Kapandaria, right? Is why go Mekifna Dari? Why go around? El Baha, go through. In other words, it means a shortcut, right? Why go around? Go through. So it comes to the lashon basically of why go around, which is right Ad Mekifna Adri, right? Kapankaria. And Amar Rav Yavo Imaya Shvil Mikara. However, if the path was there first, and they built the shalana, then it's mutter to go ahead and make a shortcut. I know Ruvain, I think the last two times I've gone through this over here, I always bring as an example that the shul over there in Memphis, where they have like that, right next to the shul, everyone crosses through one of the yards over there. So it's a known shvil, it's a known yard, so everyone crosses through. Therefore, if basically it was built there, you can still cross through. And now one who goes ahead and he enters, is not an intention of cutting through, right? He went in for one reason, and all of a sudden he has to leave. Oh, I got to go somewhere. Can I go at the other end? Mutter lasses coming there. Then you go at the other end. As long as he didn't enter in order to go ahead and take a shortcut, and if it happens to be a shortcut, then it's fine. Also, one who answers to go ahead and daven. Mutter lasses coming there. You can also go ahead and exit another way. Have derech shar tzafon, right? They come in through the shar tzafon. They come in, enter through the northern gate, the shtachvos, to go ahead and to bow, to pray. And yatsa derech shar negev. Then they leave the southern gate.
It's not a problem. You go from north to south because it shows you don't go through.
Right, you don't go one to the other. Right. Yeah. Also, if the ruins, the shul is no longer used and weeds start growing there, don't pull them out because you want people to see it and they'll have agos nefesh of seeing it. It says over there, you can't go ahead and weed it in order to feed your animals. You go ahead and weed it and just leave it there. So no, that what she says over there is, yeah, you can go ahead and tear out the weeds. You just got to put the weeds back in the ground, right? But you can't go ahead and leave the weeds. Take them out and feed the animals. Taner Rabbanim, Beis HaKvaros. Speaking of Beis HaKvaros, the cemetery. One should not go ahead and act frivolously there in Marimba and Behema, or go ahead and graze your animals there. Or don't have a stream of water go through there. Don't go ahead and start gathering the grass there and the weeds there. And if he does go ahead and he cuts and he gathers them, then you should go ahead and burn it, right, in its place because of the covenant mace. So what's become covenant mace? Right? What does it mean burning in place? It's covenant mace to burn it. It doesn't make any sense. Rather means the ratio. That which he says, you can't act frivolously in the basic kvaros is because of the covenant mace. It's because of the covenant of those who are dead. Fine. Now in Mishnah. Mishnah at the bottom. Rosh Chodesh Adar Shechal Yos b'Shabbos. Rosh Chodesh Adar. Right, so we know there's Dalet Parshios that we read. Right, so it starts with Shkalim. So Rosh Chodesh Adar Shechal Yos b'Shabbos. So when the first of Adar comes out, the Shabbos, Korin b'Parsha Shkalim. We read the Parsha of Shkalim. So Chal Yos b'Zochas Shabbos. But let's say Rosh Chodesh is not Shabbos, right? So then let's say it comes out on a Wednesday. Okay, so then you read. Then you read the before. So not during Adar, during Shvat, right? You read during Shvat. Then the next Shabbos is going to be like the 3rd, and the next one will be the 10th. So then umafsik in the Shabbos acheres. Then when it comes to the 3rd of Adar, you skip that week, and then the Shniya, the second Shabbos of the month of Adar, which would be, let's say, the 10th, right? Then Shniya Zachor. She's Paraduba, so Zachar they do it because it's a Cheres Malik, which you do before Purim. Thank you. Paraduba we do before because we want people to become Torah for the current Pesach, so therefore we give them the information the Paraduma and Rabbi in the first HaChodesh, which describes more of a description of the current Pesach. Rabbi is HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem. The Chamishis in the next week, right? In the 5th week, then you go back to its normal order. Soon see what's talking about. Actually, we'll touch it a little bit today. Whether it means the normal order of the Parshios or does it mean the normal order of, let's say, Haftarahs, right? They call mafsikin. And by the way, everything, anytime there's some sort of special day where mafsik, right? We do something out of the ordinary. Whether it's Rosh Chodashim and Rosh Chodesh, as we know, right? We do different Haftarah, Chanukah, Purim, Tanias, and Mamados, and for fast days and Chanukah, Purim, and Mamados, and which are days where people would be in the Mikdash in order to basically their offering would be that day, and therefore they would be the ones who stood as their offering. They were the representatives of Bnei Israel, so they also have special readings for them. Over Yom HaKippurim, Yom Kippur, all these days they would have special readings in the honor of those days. So Zok, let's see, bottom line, Taran Hosman, another Rebecca about Adar Mashmin al Shkalim. On the 1st of Adar, right, we announce about the Shkalim, right? Time to Shkalim now as we went through Masechas Shkalim. And so the Kiloim, right? And also Kiloim for people to go ahead and uproot, make sure nothing is growing together, right? Not two different species of things growing, crops. So now, Kiloim, I understand why you claim Rosh Chodesh Adar, why this man's Zerei, because that's when people start planting. It was already plowed and now it's planted, so they begin planting it. Make sure you don't plant your vineyard, your grape seeds by your wheat, right? Ella Shkalim, but what about Shkalim? So Amar Rabbi Tavi. Now we have to remember this. This is Rabbi Tavi. We're going to reference him like 5 times. So Amar Rabbi Tavi, Amar Rabbi Yosha Demarkar. The pasuk says, "Zos olas chodesh b'chodesh." Right. This is the olah of the chodesh in its month. So Amar Torah, chodesh, chodesh ve'evi korban mitruma chadasha. In other words, that for the Chodesh, you should bring the new truma for it, the new separation. Basically, it was just brought aside for this korban. You should use that. The kevan the manisa boya kruve mitruma chadasha. And since we know every year they collect the shkalim, and they collect the shkalim basically by the first of Nisan. The first of Nisan is when they go ahead and they use new shkalim for all the karbanos. So therefore, a month before, right? Adar is the month before. They go ahead 30 days before. They announce, okay, let's get our act together. Let's get our shkalim. So that's why they do a shkalim a month before they begin, which is the beginning of Nisan. Therefore, we go ahead and read it on Echad in order to go ahead and bring the shkalim in the mikdash. Now, come on. Who is this like? Like Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. It's like Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Why did Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel? If it's like the opinion of Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Omar, you don't need a month, you need 2 weeks, right? If it would be 2 weeks, then we shouldn't have Rosh Chodesh. We basically do it from the 15th of Adar. Why? The time of the we go ahead and we start teaching the laws of Pesach 30 days before Pesach. You only need 2 weeks. So you see, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, if we're talking about the halachas of Shkalim, that's already it should be 2 weeks before, not a full month before. So the says no. I feel that Rabbi Shimon Gamliel came in the Mamar since we said Medina on the 15th of the month, then the money changers begin to set up shop in the Medina. That was outside in the further areas, and then when it comes to the Mikdash, they would set up the table. The money changers on the 25th. So therefore, since the money changers would start on the 15th, so you require 2 weeks before the money changers sit down, which would be Rosh Chodesh Adar. Therefore, we go ahead and read it now. My Parshas Shkalim. What is Parshas Shkalim? Rav Omar Sav as Bnei Yisrael v'Mart Aleim as Korban Lachmi. Basically, the identical laning we have in Rosh Chodesh. That is the opinion of Rav. That is Parshas Shkalim. Shmuel Omar Kisisa. We read the Parsha of Kisisa. Now, Bishlam Laman Demar Kisisa. I know the Korban Kisisa. I know the Kari Le Parshas Shkalim. That makes sense. Kisisa, because it mentions the word shkalim and kisisa. So, and this is Parsha Shkalim. So you read about shkalim, right? Makes sense. Right. So, but according to the opinion, says you read from Korban Lachmi, right? So where's the mention shkalim? Right. So hasamin a time of hasamin a time of my. What's the reason? Could Rav Tavi, like Rav Tavi, Rav Tavi, as I pointed out before, his opinion is that since he was the one who said that Zos Olas Chodesh B'Chodsho, so therefore it's telling you that since we're bringing right the carbon tamid right from new shkalim, so therefore the tamid, when we talk about the tamid and the Rosh Chodesh offering, it basically tells us to bring shkalim because we need the shkalim for the proper time. So that's the connection. So Bishlam the Mandamar Tzavas Bnei Yisrael. It works well on the video. Tzavas Bnei Yisrael. Mishum Naksidi Karbanos Karbanos. Hasim K'der Rabbi Tavi, like Rabbi Tavi explained. El the Mandamar Kisisa Karbanos Miksivi Shkalim Adonim Miksivi. Right? We talk. Yes, it uses the word shkalim, same words, but it's not talking about bringing shkalim for karbanos. Right? It's talking about bringing shkalim for the sockets. Right? Adonim Miksivi. There are 3 trumos. No, shel mizbech and mizbech. They used to be there. 3 of them trumos. One they bring for the mizbech. They would go for the purposes of the mizbech. Shel done for the sagas. Done. Shel like a bias. If they occupy the temple, they'll be like a bias. So in other words, yes, that which they brought the shkalim, even though this pasuk was only referring to the shkalim of Adonim, but really there were 3 types of shkalim because it mentioned it 3 times in the parsha. Truma, right? It says shkalim of there 3 times to reference the 3 trumas that they brought because it says truma 3 times. Now, Bishlam Mandamar Kisisa, I know the Shani, High Rosh Chodesh, Mishar Rosh Chodesh. Now, let's go to another thing. If you read, it says, oh, Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, if Rosh Chodesh came out, you read Parsha Shkalim. But a normal Shabbos, right, you read Rosh Chodesh, Shabbos B'nai Yisrael. So wait, if you hold that Shkalim is Shabbos B'nai Yisrael, so what's the difference between Shabbos? So maybe, right? So what's the difference between Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh Adar versus just a regular Shabbos Rosh Chodesh? Both of them you would read from Shabbos as Karbani, right? My Shani. So I said, "No Shani, Dilu Rosh Chodesh im Karashisa of Anyana Diyama." On a regular Rosh Chodesh, they read 6 from the Anyana Diyama v'chad the Rosh Chodesh, 1 Rosh Chodesh. V'la'ida, but Rosh Chodesh Adar kulum the Rosh Chodesh. The entire laning is Rosh Chodesh. In other words, we're soon going to see now, there's an opinion that which you talk about the Dal Parshas means that's all you read that week. It replaces the regular Parsha. So now, as I referenced a little bit earlier, if you look at the Mishnah, it says on the fifth week, Chayzer the Kasidron, you go back to its order. And I sort of mentioned, okay, that the Pashas is you go back to the order of the Haftarahs, you go back to the Haftarahs of the week. But if perhaps it could mean that those 4 weeks you read only those readings, and then you Chayzer the Kasidron, you go back to the Parsha you left off at. So whatever Parsha you left off at somewhere in the middle of Shmos, you go back there. Basically, you don't move, right, 4 weeks. Right. So, last place, shouldn't have turned the page, right? So you say, the Seder Parshas Uchayzer, Elamad Yamar Seder Haftarahs Uchayzer, but according to the opinion was that Seder Haftarahs Uchayzer, and therefore that you just the difference of the week is Parsha Shkalim, you only read from Shkalim. Well, now we read both the regular week's Parsha and Shkalim, which is the same thing as Rosh Chodesh. Right? And therefore, we all had to read that week's parsha. My shani, what's the difference? I said, no, shani, it's different. Right? Right? On Rosh Chodesh, then you read 6 from that week, and the seventh Aliyah, is read of Rosh Chodesh. But now Rosh Chodesh Adar. You divide that week's parsha only into 3 aliyahs. The Arba, and since Rosh Chodesh is, we normally read 4 aliyahs, Arba Kara Rosh Chodesh, and therefore the next 4 aliyahs are the 4 aliyahs for Shkalim, which is Sav as Bnei Yisrael according to this opinion. Fine. So Meisvei Rosh Chodesh Adar Shechaliyas B'Shabbos. So it says it there on Rosh Chodesh Adar. That is on Shabbos. Kori b'Parshas Shkalim Maftirim b'Yoyad. So you read Shkalim. Right, and then Yoyada HaKohen. So Bishlam Lamad Kisisa Haino the Maftir Yoyada HaKohen the Damilei because the similar to the Chassid Pasuk says Keslan Vashos Archu is talking over there about Shkalim. So the Parsh, the Haftarah is talking about Shkalim, and the Kriya is talking about Shkalim. El Laman Diomar is Korban Rachmi Midabi. But according to that, if the laning is about the Parshas HaChodesh, about the Korban Tamid and the Rosh Chodesh offering, and the Haftarah is about Shkalim Midami. Why? How are they similar? So Gemara says no, Dami they are similar because Rabbi Tavi says because the whole point, right, that you're supposed to bring new coins for the daily offering and for the Chodesh offering is from the new Truma, and therefore the new Truma comes from the Shkalim, and therefore it's all really connected. So if it comes out that the Parsha from the previous week, okay, is basically just a continuation, and the next week you're reading Parshas Shkalim, which is just a continuation, then you read it. You read it twice, right? In other words, if it falls out that week, you just read it twice. You read whatever. So now, this works out according to Pinel's Kisisa. Why? Where's Kisisa? That's located in Shmos, right? Towards the end of Shmos. Towards the end of Shmos is actually where you are that time of year. So it can make sense that the Parsha is Kisisa and Shkalim is Kisisa. And you just read it twice because it's that week's Parsha, because it's found in Shmos. Because that's what you find during that time of the year. But if you hold that Parsha Shkalim is Tzavis Korbani, which is found later on in Bamidbar, you don't find it. That falls out in the summer, right? You read that in the summer. So the Gemara says, no, those in Eretz Yisrael, right? Because there's those who used to go ahead and read every 3 years was a cycle, not every 1 year you read the Torah, every 3 years. So therefore, it's possible to be reading Bamidbar during the time of Purim. And Tanya Kava say the Shmuel, Bryson's word of Shmuel, who was the one who said Parsha Shkalim was Kisisa. Rosh Chodesh Adar Shechali is B'Shabbos, current Kisisa is a Ferish Kisisa, Ubaftir B'Yoda HaKohen. The Haftarah is B'Yoda HaKohen. And Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, a couple more lines, which is trying at the bottom. He said, Rosh Chodesh Adar Shechali is B'Shabbos, Matzin Shlosh Torahs. We take out 3 Sifrei Torah on Rosh Chodesh Adar. Right? The Kohen Behen, Echa B'Nyan Shayam, one is the Parsha HaShavua, the Echa B'Shal Rosh Chodesh, and one is Rosh Chodesh, the Echa B'Chisisa. In other words, Chisisa, because Shkal. Also, Rosh Chodesh Teves, Rosh Chodesh of Teves, which falls out during Chanukah, right? Shechali is B'Shabbos. If it comes out in Shabbos, if you Shlosh Torahs, also you bring out 3 Torahs, the Kohen Behen, and you read from them. Echa B'Nyan Shayam, one is the Parsha HaShavua, the Echa B'Rosh Chodesh, one is the second one is Rosh Chodesh, the Echa B'Chanukah. The third one is Chanukah. Now it's Tzricha, we need both these cases. If it only taught us one Baal, come Rabbi Yitzchak, maybe we would think that Kisisa was not the other parsha. Maybe you think that it's Savas ben Yisrael and Savas ben Yisrael. Maybe it will be right. You don't bring out two Sifrei Torah. So therefore, Sfirah Damar Parsha Shkalim Hakabani Lachmi V'Shtei Torahs. Sagin only two would be enough. But Kamash Balan. Therefore, it comes to teach us that no, we hold like Shmuel that says that. We read Parsha Kisisa, and therefore it teaches us three Sefer Torah, and not you don't read Savas B'nai Yisrael twice. Okay, so just say that one, and naturally I can learn from there that the Chanukah Lach you take out three Sefer Torah. So Goran answers no. Since you're saying one, we just said we learn out the other one from it. And Itmar finally Rosh Chodesh Teves Shechali is B'chol. Let's say during a weekday you have Chanukah and Rosh Chodesh. So you read three of Rosh Chodesh and one Aliyah of Chanukah, which is what we do. The Rav Divid Zamin Chifa Amru Karot Tlasa B'Chanukah. No, we read the first three Aliyahs of Chanukah. And the fourth person called up, he reads all Rosh Chodesh. So I'm Rav Mani Kavasi Rav Yitzchak Nafka. Mistav more logical say Rav Yitzchak Nafka. Why the Tadir V'Shem Tadir Kodem? You should go ahead and read Rosh Chodesh first because that's more Tadir. That comes every month as opposed to this comes once a year. So therefore Tadir shouldn't Tadir Kodem. And Amar Rav Yavin Kavasi Rav Dimi Mistav. No, it's more logical say Rav Dimi. Why? So Nigram Levi Shiyavo what causes a fourth Aliyah? Rosh Chodesh, right? Because Chanukah is only three Aliyahs, Rosh Chodesh is four Aliyahs. So Rosh Chodesh causes the fourth Aliyah. Hilchach for me, but Rosh Chodesh, therefore the fourth Aliyah should be Rosh Chodesh. By Mikra, you should read it. So my Havila, knew what's halachas Rav Yisrael, ein mashkichim Rosh Chodesh. We don't concern ourselves with Rosh Chodesh. In other words, you read Chanukah first. Rabbi Amar ein mashkichim Chanukah. No, we don't concern ourselves with Chanukah. But hilchas ein mashkichim Chanukah. The halach is we don't concern ourselves with Chanukah. We start off with Rosh Chodesh. And Rosh Chodesh, Ikra. And Rosh Chodesh is the main part. Therefore, they read that three. And Chanukah is there. And we will stop here. Everyone, have a wonderful